The ANC in Gauteng is yet to vote for its new provincial executive. Today, part 2 of the elective conference is supposed to wrap up. The last time it couldn't finish its work. We've got Lindokuhle Xulu, who has been following this conference since it commenced yesterday. How have things been going, Lindo? Everything running smoothly? Will the schedule allow for things to wrap up today as planned?
Well, it does seem that the ANC will be able to continue and finish with this second phase of them holding the 14th conference. I can tell you that yesterday there were some issues around the quarantined votes in Ekurhuleni, but that needed the steering committee to sit down and actually deliberate and decide on a way forward. They've decided that the delegates from Ekurhuleni in this particular conference were then disqualified because of quoting certain sections of the constitution of the ANC. So those are some of the things that they've been able to do. But while it was urgent for all of that to happen, they were able to continue with some of the discussions that are important in terms of making sure that this is not just an elective conference, but like a former chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, David Makhura, said that it should be a festival of ideas. That was achieved. Ropio, I'm going to try and actually use this opportunity because I do have the Premier as well as the MEC for education, and I want them to put on their heads in that regard instead of us speaking about the ANC at this stage. And this is because of that developing story of about 15 people, I believe now, have passed away in that particular shooting in Orlando. So that is something that we want to engage them in terms of their positions in government. They are the ones that are dealing with such issues. I'll start with the Premier. Thank you so much, the Premier. Perhaps just give us your reaction to the news. I did hear, and if I'm not correct, they'll be able to correct me in studio, but I did hear that it's now 15 people that have been killed because of a shooting. Just give us a sense, really, in terms of what is the reaction from the province around this.
Firstly, we would like to convey our condolences to the families of the deceased. I spoke this morning to MEC Faith Mazbuko and to the Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Mawela, who briefed me about what happened at Nomzamo Informal Settlement, where people were shot at 10 of them admitted in hospital. At that time, 14 people, the 14th person had just died at the hospital where they were admitted. Once more, we would like to convey our condolences to the bereaved families. Last night, the police were on what they normally do, Ukaimulao operations throughout the province. When this incident happened, actually the provincial commissioner was in Kagiso. In our province, every Thursday there are anti-crime operations, and weekend there are anti-crime operations. One of the systematic focus of the anti-crime operations, especially the weekend ones, have been on focusing on illegally operating establishment that sell alcohol. I can say that the Mdalosa's Tavern is a legally operating establishment. The MEC and the provincial commissioner confirmed that they were, at the time of the shooting, it was within the operating hours that they are licensed to observe. But we know that the issue of basic security, essentially the breakdown, the collapse of basic security law enforcement across our province, because too many people have illegal firearms, is something of great concern. As I say, that establishment, you may have whatever issues with alcohol, but that was a legally operating establishment. They were within the operating hours, and the people who were there, I was assured by the MEC and the provincial commissioner this morning that the people who were there were aged between 19, which is lawfully, if you are less than 18, you wouldn't get into any of those establishments there. The people who were there were doing what people do over the weekend. They were enjoying themselves. So they say there was a white quantum that arrived at the scene fully packed with people who used automatic firearms to shoot at innocent people who were at this. The police are doing their work. They are hot on the heels of those who are involved. And all we can say now is that the law enforcement officers in Gauteng are all out to try and track down the perpetrators of this heinous act, and we would like them to bring them to book. As I say, issues of safety and security are matters of grave concern in our province. In fact, one of the key areas that this conference was discussing yesterday in the commission I was in addition to the many issues, the problems of the cost, the cost of living, the cost increases in fuel and food prices, basic security and law enforcement was a key issue of focus at this conference. And we would like to reinforce and we want to make it very, very clear that the police must not rest in this province. Every crime committed requires that we must track them down, track the perpetrators down. They must know that they will face the consequences of their evil acts, getting into a place and just shooting dead innocent people who were there, as I say, who were there in a licensed establishment doing what adults should be doing. That's what we should do. We will visit this afternoon those who are admitted in hospital. The number was 10 when I spoke to the MEC and the provincial commissioner this morning. They did say to me 2 more people are very, very critical. So, and it is possible that amongst those who are very critical, we hope and pray that they should really, really survive. Our healthcare workers should help them survive. But they told me that 2 more people are very, very critical, so the number might increase.
All right. Premier, I think we'll have to leave it there for now. We are out of time because of the developing story that keeps on continuing on the other side. And I did want to engage as well MEC Panyaza Lesufi with his cap as the MEC for Education, because this time around it is positive news that everyone who was there, none of them was a minor. But of course there is still a tragedy that is involved in this. We know of other instances where this is not the case in terms of establishments allowing that particular age restriction. We'll engage with Panyaza Lesufi, the MEC for Education, a bit later on, because my colleagues are having some developments at the scene. So that is what is currently happening. So we'll have to leave it there for now, Rolf. But you are getting sentiments from the Premier of Gauteng, just giving us a sense of an update. But also he is saying that they'll be visiting the hospital and getting a sense really of what had happened. But some people are said to be in critical condition, while others, of course, are still in hospital. So that is as far as we are able to get from the Premier here. He is getting constant updates from those that are on the ground, including MEC Faith Mazibuko.
Thank you very much, Lindokuhle Xulu, and also for getting those insights from the Premier. Very important, Lindokuhle Xulu, out covering the ANC conference, but this time around getting the Premier's sense of today's incident and a way forward as a province.